like I could probably only name even a handful of our current active players, the amount of changes that our team has gone through over the last few years. Versus, years ago, I could tell you our whole starting lineup, offense and defense.
Yeah.
Now, let me see who we're going to hold on to for a year or two, and then I'll get to learn their names.
It's like a college program, right? It's like I'm not gonna sit here and try to learn all the names. Just let me know the number. Okay, I see number 10. He's been here for 2 years, and if they're gonna be here for their junior and senior year, I'll learn their name. But other than that, they're off to the NFL or gone for good.
Because I have a football that's autographed by 4 members who were members of the team at the Carolina Fan Fest that I went to. One didn't make it on the roster. And so it took me a long time to figure out who it was because I looked up the number and that's assigned to somebody else, even in that season. And so I have to, track the practice and everything. And I'm just like, that's just too much work for me.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. I follow football pretty closely, and especially NFL football, and I don't even keep track of practice players, third stringers a lot of the times, unless there's something happening, like you have a third string running back you're hearing about because one fantasy football, because like the starter got injured, or the Broncos, for example, you have a mess that's happening there, so any running back could be the guy. Like then I'll hear about somebody, but I don't know who the third string offensive lineman is for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know Hassenauer comes in at center in case the starter goes out. I don't know who's after that. I don't know who comes next across the line. You know what I mean?
Who's taking Robbie Anderson in C-Mac's place? I'm like, okay, who's the tight end we're going to be going to all the time now? Who are we going to overuse and cause to get injured? And
yeah, and I picked up. I mean, you guys have, is it Chuba or Chuba Hubbard?
Probably. Yeah, the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he and the Deontay guy, who I think it's Hightower, wasn't he? Was a running back at one point. I want to say for like the Texans or something like that. But they're the guys who are in place, and I only know that again because of fantasy football. So that's one of the things I noticed is when I play fantasy sports. It was one year I don't do hockey. I don't do hockey at all. But I remember back in college one year I tried fantasy hockey, and I only knew names of guys then because I was looking at them so much because of fantasy sports. Same with baseball. I did fantasy baseball, and that one just took forever because the season is so darn long. But again, I don't watch baseball. I'm not a big fan of baseball, and so I only learned names, though, because of fantasy sports. Basketball was the same way. Football is helpful in that as well, and football is one that I actually use that advantage to because I enjoy football the most out of any sport. So
yeah, I just pulled up their depth chart, and I recognize DJ Moore, Ian Thomas, and the 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well, and PJ, who just played for you guys yesterday, he came up from the XFL, I think.
He was our third string.
Walker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came up from the XFL from last year or whatever.
We were in the season. I was glad, we had until this week, our last 3 weeks were 4:30 games, which worked out for me because I was really busy on those Sundays, so I couldn't watch the games anyway. They're like, oh, so-and-so's hurt. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not watching the game anyway. I'm not watching us lose 3 weeks in a row anyway.
And then the miracle happened, and Tom Brady and the Bucks go down yesterday. Normally, I will say, I feel like it's a interdivision game, so it's really not a lot to get too excited about because it'll probably split the other way, the second game, right?
I never know.
Yeah. You hope not.
I wasn't able to watch the game, but I had the tracker up on my phone. We were at some people's house. They wanted us to meet their parents. First off, no score in the first half, or right before the half, I think is when we scored. This is ridiculous. Professional football players, you have one job.
Well, so do the defensive players. They have one job. They were doing well.
Half of the team has one job. And neither half of the team could do it. And Tom Brady's supposed to be the greatest of all time. And I mean, I don't know what, if I know little about Carolina, I don't know even less about Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if Tom Brady has the players on the field currently to succeed. Their record doesn't look so good.
But neither does anybody else's in the NFC, really, let alone the NFC South.
How's there not even a field goal in the first quarter or the first quarter and a half? I don't even understand. So
Listen, I think the Steelers went before the game against the Buccaneers. If I'm correct, I think it was like 15 games or something like that the Steelers had gone since scoring in the first quarter. So it's not unheard of. Now, granted, we're talking about a Steelers team that has had very questionable offensive coordinatorship and other things. But anyway, so it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
no, but when's the last time someone's like talked about a game that Tom Brady has played that almost went into the half scoreless on both sides?
That's true. That's very true.